Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to draw a mountain range. So what you'll need is a piece of paper, pencil, rubber, ruler and a fine liner. The fine liner pen is optional and I'll explain why later. So this is what we will be drawing today. So let's have a look at step one. So the first step is to draw yourself a nice rectangle shape on a piece of paper. It's up to you how big it is. I drew this at about, say it's about 15 centimeters wide. So that's where you'll need your ruler. So I'll give you a second to do that and then we'll move on to the next step. So the first step is to draw your first mountain, and this is going to be in the foreground. So that means at the front of the picture, what you see first. So you want to draw a V shape, and it's nice and wiggly because you want that mountain rocky look. And then it's going to curve up a little bit here, and we'll go back to that in a minute. So give yourself a minute to do that, and then we'll have a look at the next bit. Right, so next mountain. So this one's slightly lower than the other one. Again, it's a nice V shape and it's nice and rocky. So these definitely don't have to be perfect at all. You want that sort of wiggly line, and they're not, and they're joined up, but it shows that this one's sort of a little bit behind it. Okay, so pause your video, have a go at that, and we'll go on to the next bit. Right, so carrying on, we're doing an even smaller mountain, and as you can see it sort of curves around this way, and this bit's really important for one of the steps a little bit later. So you've got 1, 2, 3, bigger one here, smaller and smallest, okay, and that makes up your sort of foreground so far. So pause the video, make sure you've got that down, and we'll have a look at the next bit. Right, so your final mountain in the foreground, this one's quite a bit narrower and it's a lot taller than this one. Not a lot, but up there like that. So another V shape, and I've done a really small V here. Again, make sure it's nice and wiggly so you've got that rocky bit. Because when you look at mountains, they're not perfectly straight, are they? They've got those rocks on there. So you've got all your mountains there for your foreground, and then we're going to put the mountains just behind them on the next step. Okay, so pause the video if you need to and get those mountains drawn. Right, so step 6, we are doing the mountains behind our foreground, so starting to look at the background. So here we've got this big mountain here, and it's not gonna, we're not doing it in front of these, it's starting here, nice V shape going up. I've done a little V there as well. It's an upside down V, obviously. And then we've got the smaller mountain that you can see is poking out behind here. Okay, and we've done our, and again, look, nice and rocky, got points everywhere, and already you can see that it starts to look like a mountain range. So a mountain range is a group of mountains, so rather than just one, you've got all of these, and it's showing you this slowly layering up. Okay, so pause the video, make sure you've got those mountains, make sure they look like you can see that they're behind each other. Okay, and that's how, if you put your line past here, it'll just look like this mountain's in front of this one. So if you just make sure it starts from the line there, and you can just see how these are the ones in front, behind, and then even further behind. Okay, and those make up your mountains. And then we'll have a look next at how to add your texture. Okay. Right, so what I've done is I've added the sun here, and it's just poking out behind this mountain, and obviously it's just a circle shape, but it's just cut off a little bit here, so it gives that illusion that it's coming up behind the mountain. So again, it creates that sort of depth, the 3D effect. And then, so after that, what you're going to do is you're going to start to show the texture and the 3D nature of the mountain. So here, like before, so if we have a look on this step here, we've got a line going up here. Okay, so now we're going to have a look, and this is where we've attached it. So I started at the top of the mountain and I slowly went down in a wiggly line out like that, lots of wiggles, and then it joined up like this, okay? And you don't have to worry too much about this. It's supposed to look a bit all over the place. Make sure it kind of comes over here a bit, up and down, and that will show the ridge of the mountain. It does have a name, but I can't quite remember what the name is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do that on all of the mountains that we've got here. That's going to show the shape of the mountain so that it's not completely flat on the piece of paper. Right, so pause your video and make sure you've got that ridge going down so it can show that you go up and then down, and then we'll go on to the next step. Right, so on my next step, you can see that I've added all my different ridges here. So I'm going to start off, we had this one going down here, and then you see how this slopes, it then sort of curves around and wiggles up to the top point of this mountain. The easiest way to do these is to start at the point of your mountain and slowly work your way down, doing lots of wiggles. You can see it's not a straight line. It goes a little bit all over the place. It goes up and down, wiggles in and out, and then stops where the mountain is in front of it. We've got this one here. Do you remember that we drew our curve? Let me go back to show you. So on this small mountain here, we drew our little curve around here, and I said that was important later. And this is where you're going to join it up to the top of this, the point of that mountain. So as you can see, it curves around, and then you've got it wiggling up. And you can either go from here, or you can start at the top like I did, and it kind of zigzags in and out with a few wiggles. And then we've done that with this one here. We've done the same. We've done it down on this one. Big wiggles there, curving around all the way down to the bottom. And then finally on this one. And then what we will be doing next is I'm going to add here a line here and a line here. And all these different lines, they add such a brilliant effect to make it look really 3D. So can you see from, even just from here to here, you can see that it's made it look like pyramids, that pyramid shape of a mountain, rather than just flat triangles on the page. Okay, so pause your video, get your ridge lines drawn in, have a good look. Remember, it absolutely doesn't have to be a perfect straight line. The wigglier, the better. Okay, zigzag all the way. That one goes all the way over here. You don't have to do it exactly the same as me. It just gives it that lovely texture. Right, so the next part is going to add even more texture and even more parts to the mountain. So what I have done, where our ridges go all the way out, I've done some squiggly lines going down, and that shows the sort of rocky face of the mountain. So on these two here, I've picked this one that goes out really far here, this little one here, and then this one, and I've not done it all the way down, I've just done it about a third, maybe a half the way down. Same on this, I've done a few lines going down from the actual side of the mountain. So what you want to be doing is just doing these wiggly lines from the ridge, and then just a couple coming down from the side here. And you can see I've done that there as well. I've done a few here, and then on this one, because it's so small, I've just done a few diagonal lines here just to give it that, just to show how rocky it is, so it's not just flat. So if you stood on it, you could see how people would climb up it. Okay, so pause your video. The next step is going to show you these just on the rest of the mountains. Okay, so pause your video and have a go at doing those ridges. Remember, you've got a rubber for a reason. If you think you've gone wrong, rub it out and try again. Just have patience. It's all a learning curve because we've not done this before. Right, step 10. So I've added in the extra lines to all of my mountains, and can you see what a difference that makes? It really changes it. So we've gone from this, we've then added our ridges, and now we've added all of our lines, and that just gives it that sort of the bumpy texture. It shows how rocky these mountains are. And again, what you want to do is where it sort of sticks right out on the ridge on this side. So you want to leave this side blank. So the left side of the mountains you're going to leave blank, because we're going to come back to that. That's where our shadow is going to be. And on the right side of the mountain, that is where your ridges are going to go. So if you've done any on this side, if you just rub them out and just make sure you're doing it this side of the line, okay? So anytime it pokes out like that, I'm doing little diagonal squiggly lines going down, and then a few from where it dips on my side of the mountain. I've added a few, slightly less if they're smaller. So pause the video, add in those lines on the right sides of the ridges of the mountain, and then I'll show you next what we're going to do. We're going to look at adding some shadow using some lines, okay? Right, so now we've started, we're going to start adding shadows using a diagonal line with our pencils. So, like I said, you keep this side of the mountain blank so that we can start doing this. What I have done is I've just started to do some diagonal lines going down on this side of the mountain to show where the sun is shining and where the shadow is hitting that mountain. So you won't need a ruler for this. I didn't use a ruler. If you have a look, they're not dead straight lines at all. They do not need to be. If they wiggle about, that's absolutely fine. If they meet each other, absolutely fine. Don't worry too much about this. Remember what I say about it looking a bit rustic. We like that look. So the easiest way to do is just to sort of follow the line that you've already drawn for your mountain, and just draw them all the way across here up to the ridge. You don't want to go past the ridge because that shows the other side, and I've just done it on this little small bit here. You don't have to add it on that small bit if it's a bit too difficult. And then also, can you see that I've added this line going down that shows my small mountain? Okay. On the next step, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you've done all of it. So pause the video, give yourself some time to draw those lines. Again, don't worry if they're not dead straight. They absolutely don't need to be, and you'll see later when I show you a close-up that they don't need to be like that. Right, so here it is with all of the lines drawn in. You can really see here they're not straight at all. They sort of curve a little bit. As long as you're drawing diagonal lines just on this side, and I've drawn a line down here to show that sort of cleave, that cut in the mountain where it goes down. Okay, so pause your video and add in your lines for your shading on the left side of the ridges. And then we'll have a look at our final step. Right, so the last step you're going to do is to add in the texture for the sky. And again, we're just going to use lines. And this way we're just doing straight lines all the way across our sky, not quite meeting the top of the mountains. Again, you don't need a ruler for this. You just need to try your best to draw a straight line. Don't worry at all if it's not completely straight. You can see mine are wiggling about a bit here, and that's absolutely fine. And you want to go all the way across and they go round the sun and all the way to here. What I'm going to do is I'm on the next slide, so if you pause it, have a go at doing that, cover your whole sky, and then you can go down to the mountain, or you can just leave a tiny space like I did. It's totally up to you. And then on this side you've got some close-up images of the mountains and the sky to help you to work out where your lines need to be. So pause the video if you need to on this one, just to help you. And the next one I'm going to show you is our final piece. So this is our final mountain range. This is something similar to what you should have. As you can see, we've got our lines on our shadow parts, and the parts that are in the sun, they've just got our lines for the ridges there, and then you can see the full sky finished. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this lesson on drawing mountain ranges. I'm really looking forward to seeing your pictures. So if you have a picture, send it to your teacher when you're finished, or bring it into school so we can have a look. Remember to pause the video, have patience with yourself, and rub it out and start again if you need to. All right, take care guys, see you later.